What's up, my brother?
What up, man? How you doing? Good to see you.
I'm chilling, brother. How about yourself, man?
Maintaining. Just trying to just keep things afloat as always. So I'm just happy to be doing this. It's always a boost for me. You know what I'm saying? So, um,
Li- Likewise, man. I feel the same. Always look forward to doing this build with you every month. Um, Seriously, like something I look forward to, man. Even though I talk to you in between, because we
yeah, no,
brothers, man.
of
Because we're friends.
course. No, of
You know
course.
what I mean?
But
But yeah.
yeah, episode 9, Talking Crazy, A-Plus, Hieroglyphic, Souls of Mischief, myself, Tamal, carrying the culture. And this is just our monthly build every third Monday of each month. We get together and chop it up. Two friends just talking about mental health topics. We trying to use our platforms to discuss these things, things that aren't often discussed with people in general. Fuck people of
Yeah.
color, black men, whatever, just people in general. We're not talking about this stuff enough. So we decided we always kind of talk about it anyway sometimes in our conversation. So we just have some real builds here and stuff like that. So this is episode number 9. Our previous 8 episodes are on our YouTube channels respectively. And why don't you tell everybody kind of what we're not, and and kind of what our slogan there.
Yes, sir. Good people. What we are not, we're not doctors. We're not claiming to be know-it-alls in these subjects that we discuss. We're on the path and on the journey ourselves, and we're just trying to break stigmas and be able to have these conversations more openly, because our culture as whether it's American, whether it's people of color, whether it's male, all of these. Cultures teach us not to be able to have these conversations about concerning mental health and all of these stigmas that are attached. So we're not doctors in any way, shape, form. We're not experts or anything. We're just people with experiences, and we like to share them, and we're here to share them. And we're also here to learn. We're also
Right.
here. I learn from my brother. I learn from the comments. I learn from the conversation. So that's what it's about with us.
Yeah, it's a learning experience.
Talking crazy.
And at the same time, just trying to put and that's our spin on it, to just say like it's okay to talk about this stuff, and while we're not experts and stuff, I mean, we're not just talking out of our ass. I mean, a lot of this, I mean, that's very important to note too. Like, you're not just smoking and just talking about just nonsense. I mean, like, that we have nothing or have no experience with. I mean, we want to
Word.
at least put that there. Like, we're sharing from a place of experience and some failures and successes. So hopefully you can learn from both of those things. So
Absolutely.
so yeah, and real quick guidelines. Just if you have questions or comments, try to keep them to the build, to what we're discussing and everything, and that way everybody can kind of benefit from that. And so I'm gonna let you take it away, man. I see you updated the sheet here. I didn't even see that earlier. So
Yeah.
why don't you set us off with the topic that you want us to rock with for today, and I'll kind of follow your lead and we'll get into it.
Yes, sir. Good people. Today our topic is triggers. What are triggers? Well, I'm gonna read a definition here. In mental health terms, a trigger refers to something that affects your emotional state, often significantly by causing extreme overwhelm or distress. A trigger affects your ability to remain present in the moment. It may bring up specific thought patterns or influence your behavior. So that's just a short working definition that I found that kind of sums up what we're talking about here. Triggers can come in all kinds of forms. They can be huge triggers. They could be small triggers. Everybody's triggers are different because the triggers are based off of your experiences in life. Um, Common triggers include anger, anxiety, feeling overwhelmed, feeling vulnerable, abandoned, or out of control, feeling loneliness, muscle tension. Like you can get it, like body shit, memories tied to traumatic events, pain or sadness, and the list goes on. But those are just some examples. And it's a trip. You talk about muscle tension and shit like that. Yo, like I had an accident. I've been in mad accidents. My first really bad accident earlier this year, and whenever I think about it, I start feeling my neck. You know what I'm saying? Or I start feeling my back, and I'm like, yo, that's crazy. It's just. And it was kind of traumatic. It was a traumatic experience, and so I'll be walking around not even tripping off my back at all, and then I'll see a car that's like mine that I smashed, and I'll just be like, oh man, I'm glad I'm cool, and I'll start feeling my neck tension. So it's real, man. Triggers come in all forms, man. But yeah. So that's what we're gonna start off with, man. And our aim, I guess, is between me and you, my brother. I guess we discuss our triggers and see what different kinds are. I mean, one for me, like as far as mental health is concerned, and identifying triggers is a key part to healing, to getting over trauma, or just in not even super trauma, just healing. So you know, some could be big deals, some could be like small, minuscule, like just get on my nerve type shit. This is
Right.
another thing I wanted to add too that I wrote in the notes, is that as I was looking through all the stuff, I was like, pet peeves can turn into triggers for shit. Like certain things that are just like normal annoyances and shit. Like you add that shit to some traumatic event or a person you don't like or whatever, and them things would start having you feeling a way, turn into some real triggers and stuff.
Right.
You know?
Right. And
Yeah.
that's a good point. And so there's a lot. First of all, there's a lot of different types, right? And there's a
Right.
lot of reasons. And like a lot of the stuff that we discussed, there's a lot of layers to it, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, and they kind of, a lot of this stuff overlaps with previous conversations we've had. But yeah, the biggest thing, and I pointed it out on my bottom part of the notes too, is just one of the biggest things is that recognizing them, like you said. I mean, go back to the old GI Joe shit. Knowing is half the battle. You know what I mean? Like just, I think with any of this stuff, family, it's like we're halfway. I won't say we're halfway there, but we're in a much better place when we're at least able to recognize shit. Like whether it's our anger problem, whatever. I'm just talking about in general now. But even with this, specifically with triggers, like when we can recognize those things ahead of time, not as they're happening, even ahead of time. Like for me, I'm looking down the road, because for me, one of my major things is my temper, and trying not to fly off the handle, and speak to people improperly, and just fuck shit up with my words, because I can do that. So I try to, like, when I feel myself getting triggered, even if I try to like cut that shit off way ahead of time. Be like, oh, it's like, oh, this person's going to say something in a few minutes that I'm about to fucking, like, let me just, I can see where this is going. Let me just fucking be out, yo. Like, and just, and that's a big thing for me that's been really helpful, man, is when I'm able to see it ahead of time, before the heart starts beating, before I start getting a little anxious, the stomach starts going in a knot and all that stuff. For me, that's what anger does. And then I'm able to, like, all right, work through it, like assess it, because I'm still in a clear space. I'm not triggered yet. I know it's going to happen. So now I can make sound decisions, and really handle the
Not,
situation in a way where I'm not getting outside of my character. You know what I'm saying? So that's a big part of it. Big part of it. I mean, that's huge, man. Because then at least you have the option to do something. If you're not recognizing it, then you're just caught in the whirlwind. You know what I'm saying? You're completely caught in the whirlwind, and you're all fucked up. And you know,
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, no doubt about it. I mean, the whole thing about like staying on one square and getting one's life in order and all that, it all has to do with how we react to things, and triggers is a huge part of that. If you can identify the things that trigger you, you see, it. And again, like how we started, it's different for everybody. These things are different for everybody. There are, of course, similarities and things that overlap, but they're all based off of one's own personal experiences. So
right.
identifying these things are huge in terms of living a successful life. And what I mean successful, like, I mean, that starts from the inside of feeling positive, feeling good, being motivated, all the positive things, having drive, being unencumbered by bullshit, and all of that comes with identifying the things that tick us off and that fuck us up, and knowing how to deal with them when we have to and avoid them when we can. And for the biggest part of that is getting out our own way. Like a lot of the things that trigger us, we literally put ourselves in those situations and around those kind of people. Now, growing up, and when this is a trip. This is like conversations I couldn't really have when I was younger, because you have to go through some shit first, right?
Right.
And
You don't even know what you be talking about.
not yet. And the most is like what good information you got from those who brought you up. Now, the thing about this is mental health and all of that, and the whole purpose of this podcast, it's here because don't really have a lot of good information coming from those that brought us up about how to deal with mental health issues and all of that stuff. Like the most I knew about growing up about triggers was my dad taught me shit about triggers, right? But he taught me from his point of view, and he's an immigrant. So he taught me all he could. He taught me Jamaican shit, and a lot of that stuff applied here in life here, and a lot of it didn't. You know, so ultimately you have to go through your own experiences before and identify your own triggers. And to me, I believe that's tantamount for living a successful life in any kind of way, whatever you call success. Like you see what happens to people who constantly get triggered and can't control them shits. You know what I'm saying? I personally, I mean, I couldn't control the shit that triggered me, and I thought I had right and reason to be pumped up about my shit, because my triggers are often centered around betrayal, keeping your word, doing like injustice, doing someone dirty when you know you wrong. Like them the kind of shits that get me hot in life. You know what I'm saying? So right. Those would be my triggers, and those would lead me to other behaviors that ain't really cool. You know what I'm saying? For whatever that is, you know what I mean? Right. But I had to learn how to like basically like deal with triggers that I felt like, you know, I got a right to feel this way. You know what I'm saying? And the thing about it is, it always comes back to what we always talk about. It's like, all right, you can have these feelings and take them in, but how do you react off of them? And that's where, and this is what we talk about this a lot on this show. So identifying triggers is like, that's why I feel like it's so necessary for success. It's like, it's a huge deal. Like for healing, all the shit that I learned about healing, whether it's from, you know what I'm saying, from the fellowship or from, you know, people I grew up with or psychiatrists or therapists and shit. All of that shit has to do with identifying the things that tick you the fuck off. I mean, if you can't control them and show some kind of emotional intelligence about those things, those are the things that allow us to get in our way and create the other things that get in our way more, and blah, blah, and so on and so forth. The cycle continues, but it stops with introspection. That's why I love these kind of conversations.
Well, and the thing is too, man, so I want to present a flip side to what you said, though, so it's interesting. So you had said, all right, and we identify these things, and you said sometimes we feel like we have a right to, like, you know, flip out or whatever, you know, get all worked up because of our trigger, because we were really wronged or something. But here's the thing. So here's the thing. We definitely don't want to step outside and act outside of our character and go to lower frequencies or anything like that. But at the same time, it's interesting, man. What I wanted to share was that we need to understand that we have a right to protect ourselves when we feel triggered, and it's imperative that we, in a safe and intelligent, healthy, respectful way, do what we need to do to take care of ourselves. Because a lot of times people, let's say, for instance, for example, yo, like I said, like my trigger is anger. So I was with somebody one time, and like I would let her know, like, yo, I'm getting hot right now. I can't talk, man. It's gonna be bad for you. You, not for me. It's gonna be bad for you.
I know that feeling.
And then I would go, you're running away from your problems. I would get it thrown in my face, and I stick around, air them the fuck out, and then I'm the bad guy. So, like, I just think it's important that we have a safe space. But even regardless, we have to do what's necessary to take care of ourselves. And I really always want to stress that point, like, in a respectful way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Our boundaries or whatever. Like, so there's a lot of times there's a trigger, and there's something that we can do to protect ourselves, but for whatever reason, like, it's a lot of times it's peer pressure. If we're in like a friend, you know, a group of people or something, we don't want to go along with something, do something, and or whatever. And this applies to younger, but even older people, you know, succumb to peer pressure. So I think it's important, like, yo, you can take care of yourself, and if you are triggered, it's in your best interest to work through that. And somebody may not like you leaving the situation. I've left weddings and shit, yo, like, because I just couldn't deal, man. I've left a big events. I'm like, I gotta get out of here. It's not gonna be good for everybody else. Them talking shit because I left pales in comparison to if I stayed and, like, fucking, like, you know, tore up the shit like Tasmanian devil. So
word up. I think you hit the head on the nail, man. When you said in an intelligent way, you know, deal with the trigger. You have to defend yourself. You have to be able to and know that you have the right to. I think this is where the problem, you know, where the adversity comes in the situation for me is that, like, I totally feel like I could defend myself, man. But, like, you know, when you up in those emotions, when you like those red hot emotions to where, like, you know, like it's fight or flight type shit, and you a fight type motherfucker, it's really hard. It takes a lot of discipline and a lot of practice and a lot of self-awareness to have those feelings and defend yourself to a point that's not in the red. Because once you get in the red, you're actively doing shit that will continue to provoke, rightfully so on some level, the other person who's coming at you with that same energy that
Right.
you're supplying back.
Right.
So I think you hit it right on it when you was like, well, this is where the struggle is, you know, like finding that place to where, like, I'm fully self-righteously defending myself on all of my beliefs on some bullshit that you're coming with, and I'm not taking it further into the realm where you could drag me into that bullshit. That's wisdom, right? That's wisdom.
And
That takes life.
okay, so
You know,
check.
that takes what we doing.
So
That takes talking to people about it like we doing
right,
too.
yo, because it's not.
You know what I mean?
Here's the important thing, man. It's not just gonna happen overnight. Like, we can't all of a sudden be like, yo, I've been working on my anger problem for 25 years, and I feel like I'm just scratching the surface. We can't, like, and so there's things that we can do daily that help us be more in tune with ourselves. So when shit does hit the fan, we're able to still maintain. Because, yo, if your nature is to wild out and you got that type of energy, but it's an energy that can also be harnessed for good. You know, you can create a lot of shit. If you have that energy, yo, you're gonna, like, it's imperative that, like, you might have a practice breathing, yoga, meditation, tai chi. There are certain things that will help just day-to-day life to help you be kind of centered already. Because, yo, if you're a hothead internally, you're not just gonna go all of a sudden from hothead to centered because you saw a podcast.
Nah, that's not
on that
how it
shit.
works.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's gonna take a lifetime of practice, but, like, there's daily things that you can do to, like, really dial your mind in so you're just really focused, and so when things do happen, you know, you're able to really maintain. But it's not just some, like, flip the switch shit.
Yeah, nah, 100%. And these, you know, this circles all the way back to the topic, like identifying your triggers and learning what, because often the things that we do and we learn when we figure out what our triggers are and we start dealing with them, the reactions to doing that end up being positive things in our life. You know, like, you just start to learn how to navigate that kind of shit. It's not like the shit doesn't. It's like how you said already. You know that there's times when you had to get up out of there. You was at a wedding of all places, but you know you got to leave. To me, that's wise. That's self-awareness. You know that this ain't good. Like, so it ain't, like you said, it ain't no flicking the switch. It's not about, like, any of these things make a motherfucker perfect. I look at this shit like lifelong shit. Like, this is what I'm gonna have to do forever because I'm never gonna be. Life doesn't provide a situation where you master how the world gonna come at you to teach you some shit. That's not, you know what I'm saying? There's always gonna be something that could trigger you. So, but what I do find is that by working on self and finding out these triggers and trying positive, effective, efficient ways to deal with them, it broadens my horizons as a person, as a spirit. I know how to handle shit. And yes, there's gonna be some more shit. And to be quite honest, my triggers, they still trigger me. You know what I'm saying? Like, they still do something. It's not like I'm like, I don't see that happening anymore. It's just that I'm not biting on the bullshit no more. Like, I have more of a sense of peace. And it's not like these things that trigger you don't exist anymore.
Right.
It's just that they don't fucking bother you. They don't ignite an emotional response. An example. I have an example of a pet peeve of mine, man. You ever been Pootie Tang? You ever seen the movie Pootie Tang?
I never saw that shit. I heard about it, but
all right. Well, I call this shit when somebody Pootie Tang me. I hate that shit, right? It's so there's this character in the movie Pootie Tang where it'll be all the brothers are sitting around building, and this his name ain't Pootie Tang. That's somebody else in the movie. But cats will be around building, and somebody will say some shit, and this one dude over here will always say something that a motherfucker already said verbatim, like it was never said. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
And so it happens so much that this one person, people be like, yeah, man. So like, I seen baby girl and she was super fine, blah, 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 blah. And then we went around, and then 2 minutes later, that dude would be like, you know what? Who I seen the other day? Homegirl at the store. She was super fine. It's like that kind of shit, right? It's like in the movie, it's made as like dude is kind of slow or something, or dude is just like ain't all the way there, so he just be like he's that kind of doofy dude that say shit late. But when people do that shit in real life, they're being passive aggressive. You know what I'm saying? And that I used to be around motherfuckers who did certain motherfuckers who just do that kind of shit. That's one of their little funny things they do, right? And I'm the type of motherfucker that'll be like, yo, why are you saying, I just said that, bro? You know what I'm saying? And if a motherfucker keep doing that, I'd be like, bruh, like what the fuck is going on? But now, no surprise, motherfuckers still do that shit. But now I just look at it like that's a weirdo problem you have, and I'm not gonna bite into it no more. It's not like I don't recognize it no more. It's not like it doesn't trigger some reaction out of me in my brain to where I'm thinking about it. I'm like, but now as opposed to being like, what's this weird ass shit you do? Like, what the fuck is that supposed to mean? I'm like, nigga, I don't know what's wrong with you, but that's a weirdo shit, and like, I'm gonna let you keep that problem. So that's like a perfect example of like these when you find out these triggers and how they move you and why it's a continuous lifelong journey, because there's always going to be some new shit like that. It's not like these things vanish or they go away and you don't notice them no more. It's just that the problem stays where it was to begin with, instead of adopting it through the trigger. Now it's just I recognize the shit and I'm gonna be like, yo, brother, sister, you could keep that respectfully. You know what I mean?
Right. And it's not it's like you said, that's a good point, that they're gonna continue.
Check out Pootie Tang too. Watch the movie. It's a good one, bro. You know what I'm saying? Watch the movie.
It for like years. I just never. It was just funny. It was one of those things I just, but people. Well,
you know the kind of person I'm talking about.
Though, of course.
You ever been around a motherfucker that like literally you just said it, everybody heard you say it, and the motherfucker say, and then other motherfuckers will let that motherfucker say it right.
I'll be the type of dude that, I mean, I'll say, I just said that shit. Like
I would say that. I'll be like that too. I'm like, sir, I believe I just said that, like borderline 2 minutes ago. You know what I'm saying? But again, like, yeah, you were saying.
No, I was just saying, like, the trigger
weird
continue to happen. It's just what we do. It's just and I have triggers that still trigger me and get me worked up, and I have triggers that like are in a different place where I'm like, okay, I can acknowledge it and still keep it pushing. You know what I'm saying? But oftentimes triggers, though, they can represent so many things. I feel like, though, sometimes, man, you ever feel like this? Like, there's certain triggers, like, are there to kind of teach us something and aren't going to really go away until we work through that shit. Like, if you
100%.
If you have a problem, let's say, like, it could be a communication issue or something, or you have some trauma from like some shit, and so let's say you can't communicate that well or whatever, you're going to be it seems like you're going to be put around people that are over communicating, that are really going to be talkative and going to chop it up and really like, until you're going to be in situations where you got to continue. It just seems like the universe, whatever, God or whatever, seems like we just get put in these positions sometimes, like where like you're gonna have to be here until you learn, and you even might get through that situation. Let's say you quit that job, you go somewhere else, and you got somebody else. So I feel like a lot of times these things are often representations of other things, and really aren't gonna go anywhere until we work through the real shit. Like sometimes I feel like they're like smoke screens for like some other stuff we gotta
100%
away. You know what I mean?
Now, what 100%, man. I agree 100%. Now, what we are in control of is how fast we deal with these things in our life, regulate our life comfort, our spiritual comfort, our happiness, our peace. And that's what we're in control of. We're not in control of this shit happening, these triggers happening, us having these adversities in life to teach us life lessons and spiritual lessons and all of that shit. We can't control that's going to happen. Now, when we put off our lessons and we don't learn lessons and we go against the grain, well, that's how we create discomfort for ourselves in our lives. And me, a person, the person I am, and we all got our issues, right? But where I'm at in life, it's like I've always been this way, but I'm more conscious of it now. You know what I'm saying? Getting out my own way. And a lot of the problems that when you get to a certain age, man, you realize like a lot of the shit that the motherfucker tripping off don't fucking matter. And the only reason the motherfucker's still in it is because I choose to let it matter. you know, and you know, learning like I don't think that's like you said that cycle ever stops or wherever you at. But your level of peace throughout the cycle is wholly dependent on you and how much you one willingly deals with their own shit. You know what I'm saying? And like when you identify your triggers, less shit fucks with you. Yes, it's work. Yes, you got to go through some shit. Yes, healing is a fool. But the byproduct of the shit is less shit bothers you. You know what I'm saying? And which is a direct byproduct of peace and happiness.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think for me, that's the motivation to even be dealing with any of this shit. Like I've had whole I don't give a fuck periods of my life, like to whatever degree I can have them, because I always give some sort of a fuck. I'm a caring human, but those times in my life, the lessons I learned from those times in life was that was wasted time. You know, looking back, but just now that you have this, don't do that again. You know, there's a better way to deal with however you was feeling than just wasting the time, not giving a fuck and not checking myself and not letting bullshit slide off me and shit. You know, to me, this is a lifelong. I mean, I'm irritable, I'm irascible, but like assholes get me fucked up, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like fucked up people, I'm not cool with that. Like I don't like fucked up people. I don't like weirdos and people. I'm a direct, straight from the gut motherfucker. I'm a real dude. You know what I'm saying? So I'm always gonna have something to irritate me because there's enough fuck niggas around to irritate me for the rest of existence. You know, so how am I gonna deal with that? Well, my way of dealing with that would be like, listen, I'm gonna control what I can control, and it just so happens, good people, that a lot of that shit is actual work. You know what I'm saying? It's actual, like it takes motivation, it takes drive, it takes action, it takes thought, it takes caring about yourself. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man. So I don't to go into what you were saying. I agree. I don't think that cycle of life or that cycle of life adversities ever actually ends. I think that's what we actually here for, is my conclusion. You know, that's what but everybody has their own take on it. It's a spiritual thing, and I don't front mine on nobody, but yeah, man. It's like shit.
The odds of it, I mean, look, the shit, we're continually tested. I mean, I firmly believe in that, whether it's spiritual thing or just mathematics of this odds. I mean, shit is going to be happening. To me, I always just, you know, being here in this material life on this earth means you dealing with some shit, straight up, everybody. And so, you know, the purpose of these conversations are to look like, yo, how are we in the thick of this shit, day-to-day life, yo, like dealing this shit, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. This is not a motherfucker this is not people talking with all the answers figured out. This is like, you know, a bunch of, you know, this conversation is like I'm talking to myself and I'm hearing for myself. I'm like, this is inspiration to go through the fuck shit. You know what I'm saying? This is a part of healing. It's certainly not to sound like the motherfucker got all the answers and got this shit mastered. This is actually just being more transparent about the fact that I know it's mad shit I need to work on, and there's a goal. There's actually a partially selfish goal for working on a lot of this stuff, is that like I want to be happier. And once I started realizing that kind of shit, with, you know, with our shows about Talkin Crazy, like I actually got happier. Like it doesn't lessen the amount of bullshit, but I feel better. You know what I mean? I'm like, listen, let me learn more so I can continue this trend.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, isn't it funny though how like you probably experienced this, right? So let's say you're dealing with some shit, right? Like just carrying some shit around, and you finally share it with somebody, like that you're just dealing with whatever the situation is. Don't you feel better after? Even if the situation is still what it is, like I typically feel better. I'll split it on myself. I feel better after, like. So what I'm saying is, just talking about the fact that I get triggered about anger helps me remind the fact that I get triggered about anger. Like it's helpful for me to acknowledge that shit. Like I can be an asshole. You know what I'm saying? Like I know that, and I try not to be, but I can. So then, okay, like let's keep it on it, and because rather than saying, oh, yo, it's these people, it's this, it's that, it's that, it's that. Yo, what up? This is what it be, man. Like, all right. You know, and I've always found that like just getting it out, it takes away like the secrecy of shit or whatever, and then you're just like, you can't really hide, yo. You know what I mean? Like I can't hide from myself now. Once I've acknowledged that, like I can be an angry dude and flip out on motherfuckers. Like I can't hide from that. I've said it.
Word.
I've vocalized it. I've even written it down. You know what I'm saying? In my own writings. The shit, when you write it in your own hand, it's like, ooh, it's different.
Yeah. You make it immortal by your own hand through your gift of life. Yeah, and you get to see it and look at it. Yeah,
It's different.
that's why people always say, like, man, keep your journals, man, log your goals, log your short-term, your, like, people like, oh man, I gotta write this shit down. No, it's more than that, man. It's a very spiritually magical experience of transference from your life essence into this world for you to look at yourself. You know what I'm saying? It's to look at your, and when I say myself, I mean, of course, like anybody, if you spiritually religious at all, like, it's to your higher power, So just so y'all don't sound like I'm over here like I have the power. Yeah, I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
but you know what I mean? You gotta put disclaimers and shit. Motherfuckers so sensitive nowadays, man. And when I mean sensitive, I don't mean like it's caring. I mean just on that fuck shit sensitive. You know what I mean? I mean that they're like, oh, mosquito bit me, let's kill them all. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That might have been a bad analogy, but you know what I
No,
mean.
that's what it's. Whatever. Yeah, it's a different time, So I see what it is. And then I'm like, fuck the disclaimers, though, because I you know what I mean? Because I'm like, yo, I
What? That's why we love you, though. That's why people fuck with you. That's why people fuck with you and they don't. That's why how I first started fucking with you. I was like, this motherfucker don't care. He's saying what he say. You know what I'm saying? So, man, there's an aspiring aspect to that, man. For you just being that way and being yourself. Like, listen, I'm not gonna candy coat shit around this bitch, man. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's hard.
Yeah,
I
I
can't tip you
respect it.
around shit. It's too much trouble and effort, man. It's like, yo, here's what it is. I mean, like, this is some fuck shit or this shit ain't. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't have the time and energy to like dance around your fucking feelings because
Dang.
you don't want to hear the truth. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry. Like, that's just not, but again, there's different approaches for everybody. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, we're not just talking shit, but at the same time, it's, fuck the disclaimers because our hearts are in the right place. And I always say, if my heart is in the right place, if I fuck up something, let's say my heart was in the right place, and then I apologize,
Yeah.
and you still mad at me after I apologize and acknowledge that I'm wrong.
Nothing I can do for you. Nothing I can do anymore. Like, I get it, I get it, but it's nothing for you to expect anything more of me. That now it's on you. Now you tripping because I did all I can, and you still feel how you feel, and I accept it.
Like,
Nothing
right, here's what I do. Like, if I fuck up, I try to acknowledge it, rectify it,
and atone,
show remorse, and with genuine sincerity. And if after that, you bad, yeah, that's all.
I can't disagree with you at all, bro.
Yeah.
Hey, man, 100%. So on that note, we talking about the sensitivity of motherfuckers, and like, there's always been what we're talking about around in the world. It's just been magnified because of social media, the advent of modern technology, the new world where people could say shit without ever having to be any way responsible for them, and it could be from the worst part of themselves, and that's okay. So there's a new standard of fuckery, just fuckery communication, and and people are. So that being said, we got shit's called trigger warnings, right? That's something I got in the notes here.
Mm-hmm.
So these are necessary now, right? Because with social media, people can put anything depending on what site you on, and these things, since everybody's addicted to social media, you kind of got to be into it somehow to even keep up with the world, even on your just necessary shit. You know what I mean? They got trigger warnings for shit. Like, people putting trigger warnings on posts because motherfuckers want to show murders all day, or people getting ran over by cars. Or I like to see, like, when drunk people I like ridiculousness type shit. I love them shits, dude. I'll have that shit on marathon, bro. People like, just keep feeding me, please. Just keep making me laugh. But anyway, because of this, we got trigger warning. So I'm gonna read this little shit. A trigger warning is a notice of potential triggers in future discussion or content. The aim is to let people with mental health concerns avoid or prepare themselves for triggers. It is impossible to predict or avoid all triggers, since many are unique to a person's situation. Warnings are often reserved for common triggers, such as images of violence, for example. So, what you think about trigger warnings in the day of, it's a age of information.
So basically, that's saying that people, like, people with pages that post stuff should put warnings out if they're posted. I mean, my whole page would be fucking full of trigger warnings.
What I'm saying is like some of these platforms actually they put trigger warnings on the front of on posts, and you got to click it the second time to actually see it.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, this may be.
But and they determine what that is though. Like the
yeah,
I think Twitter, whether it's Instagram.
I mean, I come from the Archie Bunker, like George Jefferson, like Al Bundy era. Be like, you know what I'm saying? Red Fox shit. Like, yeah. I mean, so I think at the same time, some of us are fucking like soft as shit. I mean, what are you gonna do? Like, police the whole world? With the 7 billion people in the world? I mean, with 7 billion different triggers, what you gonna do on every? You know what I mean? Like, I just think we try to like micromanage people's feelings and lives. Yo, the world is cruel. People are cruel. Shit is fucked up and foul, and you're gonna have to navigate that shit. And I don't think everybody can hold your hand through life visually on TV. Why are you censoring? People be censored. They be censored shit that I want to see. Don't make a decision for me, motherfucker. Like,
well, I think that's the issue.
You know what
I mean? Like these huge companies that are mad important and mad powerful, like Twitter, Facebook, Meta, whatever other platforms, they are. What the problem is for a lot of people is they are making that choice. I'm not saying I pick one side of the argument or not. You know what I'm saying in this statement, but that's the big issue. Is that like okay, how many users on Facebook? Like 3 billion people or some crazy shit. And whoever's running Facebook kind of they say what the trigger warnings are for people, And I haven't weighed in all the way yet because I think some things just shouldn't be just out there like that, and you should be a warning. But then there's some on the light edge of shit, like somebody gives a contrary opinion to the political office and power, and then you get censored. Anyway, that's a whole nother topic. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to.
Right, but I mean, but even still, like the a lot of that's political. It's just I just don't want to be told like what's triggering to me. It could be different, yo. Like I'm triggered by like different shit that's based on my background in my life, man. Like I can't sit with my back against the door at anywhere. Like that's a trigger for me. I can't like be in certain like spaces and stuff because it reminds me of like just like police car seats and shit. Like certain things just fucks with me like that, yo. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like there's certain spots that I can't go to back home and stuff, but like because I either did something foul there or somebody did something foul to me there. Like, and I had to pull over and like fucking call somebody, yo. Like that's my word. So it's different for everybody, man. Like it's not like, we all have the same triggers or whatever. I mean, I understand the need to me, most shit is common sense, which a lot of us are lacking these days. And I think if we exercise common sense in what we do, then we'll know what's a trigger and know what's not. And I think people are really micromanaging common sense these days, in the name of like mental health and stuff like that. And it's like,
yeah.
They don't micromanage my fucking fears and shit, man. I know what's going on in me, And that's all I'm saying on a big perspective. You know what I mean? Like
I agree. I think this circles back 100% to our topic, identifying your triggers. You know what I'm saying? I think all the people in an uproar about a lot of shit. I mean, there's some shit that's really to be in an uproar about, but a lot of this minuscule shit that people be tripping off of, man, you need to really be working. One should really be working on oneself, because to try to police the world on something that just irritates you some and you turn it into a social outrage instead of just being like, oh, that motherfucker just thinks differently and has a different opinion. It goes back into doing the self work. Like again, like when I'm identifying what ticks me off and my triggers in my own life, it means less of that shit is gonna bother me. So y'all do whatever the fuck y'all want to do as long as you ain't hurting nobody. I don't give a shit at all. And I say, my brother, and I know you know this as well, this type of healing and this type of self-care, you really be tripping off shit less. Like you'll really, really, literally be like, you know what, that shit used to bother me and does not bother me at all. And if everybody just did that a little bit, we get off this pussyfooting around shit and let people speak their mind and not be scared to have a different of opinion to somebody with some power. That's some dictator shit. Like you know what I'm saying? Like if you put that on a whole, if everything was like that, it'd be a dictatorship. So to
Yep.
be like that on all these small ass things, what you think you're walking towards, man? That all, like, I swear, man, just kicking back a little bit and just working on oneself, like it really just I don't know, man. It's like a cliche, everybody always says it, but it's the realest shit. And my sister has to take on cliches. They're only cliche if you not on some real shit.
And that was
right?
my cliche. My take on them is that they're cliches for a reason, because they happen. Like,
Yeah,
shit doesn't. That's why I even say I don't have a problem with stereotypes, because if enough people do the same behavior over a period of time for years and years, you're going to make a generalization. And usually they're right until somebody gets fucking butthurt about it, because we laugh at them when we make them about ourselves, but not about when other people do it.
Yeah, the only time those get fucked up is when, you know, they get used for fucked up shit
Exactly.
by powerful entities.
Of course.
But stereotypes are fucking real. Like,
they're
you know
real.
what I'm saying?
They're real as shit. I mean, that's what half of comedy is about anyway, stand-up comedy. So, like, it's all about Living Color. All these skit shows are about stereotypes. Like, so, you know what I mean? Yeah. What I wanted to share here was that, because we always flip it about the, like, how kind of people take mental health and be on some fuck shit with it sometimes. And so, like, sometimes people some people have had some trauma, and then they use their triggers as like excuses to kind of manipulate people and control situations. Like you can't do that, we can't go here, we can't do, but it's like just some fucking remote control shit. Like, it's weird. Like
manip.
Yeah, and so I, you know, there's always a flip side to this, because we can take that shit and be like, oh, I'm triggered, and you can't, and it's like, yo, shut the fuck up, man. You full of shit. Like,
yeah,
that's the to call that out, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Like, man, it's easy to explain why there's so much fuck shit, because real shit is actually work. And then there's a lot of lazy motherfuckers. Like, to be on some real shit, with oneself. And I'm not talking about like towards others. I'm not talking about I'm real. I'm talking about for one to be real with oneself 100% on all things. That shit is difficult. It takes work. And most people ain't down to do that. No, I don't want to say most people, but like people who be on that fuck shit that we're describing are people who don't want to do the internal work, because there are real reasons to have issues with people. Real ass issues. There are real reasons to be like, nah, yo, you know what I'm saying? But all this little fuck shit, like, yeah, that shit is like, man, I always circle back to that. There are actual real issues. Like, that's a pet peeve of mine. Motherfuckers disrespecting real issues with this fuck shit. Like, I get hot about that. That's a trigger for me. I gotta like that. Another reason I need to work on myself instead of tripping off this bullshit. You know what I mean? But it's a trip. It's a trip how it talks about all of our topics throughout the months we've been doing this show. Plug Manifesto said I hate most people. Hey, you said it strong, but I'm gonna tell you, man, people get on my motherfucking nerves. I've always said it. Like, I'm pleasant to all people anyway, but like, there's no shortage of how irritating other people are, just with the sheer lack of common sense, courtesy, regular shit, the small shit. Like, just anyway, whatever I was saying, like all of our topics all over these months have always steered back to doing the self work, you know, and how people need help to do, like how people need assistance to do it, because of how the bad information through generations, the bad information from society, the misinformation from modern whatever the fuck. Yeah.
Also, I was gonna say, we always circle back to this too, and you talked about it a little bit earlier. A lot of this shit is self-inflicted wounds. Like, it be us sometimes, Joe. We gotta acknowledge that shit, man. We have more control over our situations than we really realize, man. It's about our mental.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's so crazy, and we so far removed from that reality that if one, I'm so inspired by, like, just when somebody just pointed some shit out to me and I got to kick back and sit on it, I was so inspired about how deluded we are about how much the outside problems got to do with us. But anyway, I didn't mean to cut you off. But
I mean, it's facts. We have more control, like, in terms of how we deal with it. We don't have control over what happens, but we all think we just don't. Like, it doesn't have to be shit. My spiritual teacher used to say, I I have obstacles, I don't have problems. He said, I have obstacles, I don't, I don't have. And so I was like, always, because he was
That's
just like,
dope.
we're always gonna have some shit in front of us, man. Always, no doubt. But it's like, how do we look at that shit? And like, in every build that we've had, yo, it's always like, a lot of this shit comes down to us and how we handle it, yo. You know what I'm saying? So we get those triggers, like you said, are they going away? Nah. Like, we're
Nah.
telling you how, we're not talking about, yo, this is how triggers, you make them go away. They don't go away.
Mm-mm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, my trigger is people driving here. I hate it. I want to kill everybody every day. And I have to, like, sometimes, like, breathe for, like, about a minute before I open the garage and bounce, yo, because, like, it's crazy. The driving is, I get high just thinking about it, yo. Like, it's changed my entire mood and, like, caused me to beef with my lady, yo. Like,
Word.
so these things, it's not going away. I live here. I'm going to be here for another about 3 or 4 years. So I have to adjust. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of,
If you
it's
want
on
to
us.
succeed, if you want to succeed in your goals that you have for yourself, you have to deal with the shit somehow, right? And those who don't, often leads to lack of success in one's goals. You know?
And it leads to pointing the finger at other people too.
Yeah.
And
We live in a world where you kind of encouraged to do that by the structure of it itself. Like, our president is like a nanny ass, or our last president before that, he's like, no, I never did it. It's always somebody else. If you got the leader of your country, and look at all of our propaganda. I mean, listen, accountability, it's not really encouraged in the world we live in. The amount of the amount of inaccountability that's just normal practice in today's society is fucking staggering, bro. Like, from the youngest kids to the young adults to the mid adults to, like, the niggas my age, bro. Like the lack of, like, you can be lack of accountability is 100% accepted. You know what I'm saying? And you know, the worst part about it is, man, it creates a lot of unhappiness in the person themselves that, like, all comes out if you live long enough to be on your deathbed, and like, or like, you know, or it comes out in one's insecurities and fears throughout life and how they treat other people. And it somehow, because it's okay to do it, people think it has no toll on who you are and how your life goes. And the part that we so conveniently hide from everybody in the world, because we have this present our life type thing in social media and modern world. You present your life like that's your life. Like, if you could look at somebody's profile and think that that's their life, if anybody looks at there are people who actually look at my profile and talk as if they know what's going on in my life, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because I know that motherfucker for this many years, so this is much, and talk to me like assuming that, like, they right. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, bro, if you looking in the world and you looking at, like, clips of people's lives that are narrated by them, and you feel like you got the knowledge on a motherfucker, like, this is the world we live in. Like, I know every fucking thing from having zero information. I can say I know what I'm talking about, even if I do not at all. And as long as I can sound like I do and convince some people, that works. I mean, we live in a world of a lack of accountability. That's why it leads back to, like, when anybody does any, and I'm not talking about myself, I'm talking about anybody who does any self-help, shit gets a lot better for whoever that is. And anybody who ever does it says the same shit, bro. And that's kind of how we got to talking and got to I mean, we got to talking through hip hop, but talking about this kind of shit is how we ended up doing this build that we do, you know. And the reason why we keep doing it, like, the little messages that motherfuckers get, like, yo, I'm glad, like, some of the comments tonight, I'm glad people are talking about some real shit. We live in a place to where people be on some fuck shit and it's cool, but that ain't real life. That really ain't real life. Just because it's projected out there like that, motherfuckers know deep down, you know, it ain't real. You know what I'm saying? So, man, I'm thankful for the transparency here, and just to, you know, really just two straight. We're different people in many ways. We have mad things in common as well. And one of those things is just straight shooter shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, straight shooter. And one of the commenters, it was my sister. She was like, what we were talking about takes courage. And you know, and it really does, like, looking into oneself and being transparent about the shit that is, you soft if you talk about this shit, and you ain't a real man if you talk about mental health. That's some real fuckery bullshit information. That's like I mean, I hope we're in a time we are in a time because we're having these conversations so we can like debunk that way of thinking and shit. You know what I'm saying? That shit is anti-self, bro. That shit is not. You know what I'm saying? It does not help. It just makes everything worse. When the motherfucker's like, listen, I can get away with not being accountable for shit. Nobody ever gets away with that shit for real. You know what I'm saying?
Nah,
I mean,
not
I mean, the more money you have in this world, the more you can shield yourself from having to have any real repercussions. But there's no monetary sum that could account for the spirit damage that you do to yourself. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I be on my rants, bro.
nah, of course. I mean, that's the thing. Keeping it a buck, man. I mean, that's real talk, though. Like, it's a lot of this. It's and she said it. Yeah, it is. It is a terror. It takes courage. And I was Street Fighter anime. Yo, it was dope. There's a part where Dawson says to Ken and Ryu, he said, peering into the depths of one's own soul is a terrifying thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, because you're not sure what you're gonna find, B. You know what I mean? You might not like that. You don't find everything. Like, you may be like, if you're digging for gold, you also finding some rocks and shit too. So you're gonna pull up everything. It's not just gonna you excavating, you digging it all up. Like, you're not just going around shit. So yeah, it's terrifying sometimes, but it's better. It's made me better. I can say that, man. Like, I've doesn't mean I've worked through all this stuff, but at least I can acknowledge some shit and be like, oh damn, that's where that come from. All right,
Yeah.
get it. You know what I mean? Now I can work on.
Man, yeah, I mean, there's a feeling about that, like, you know what I'm saying? There's a feeling about like it's that it creates a kind of work that you want to do. Like, oh man, like a pure challenge. You know what I'm saying? It's like if you're really on some good in your soul shit, like you're like, damn, for real, that's me. I need to do that. I need to take care of that. That's on me. And like, fuck it, I know that's gonna be rough, but fuck it, here we go. Like, that shit is a good feeling, bro. That, like, people be scared of like all the conditioning we had to be scared of dealing with the shit we need to deal with. Once you actually get to the work, yes, it is work. It's heavy lifting, man, but it's that kind of work you want to do. It's that kind of shit. It's kind of like when you have a kid, you'll do anything for that child, man. You'll become Superman to protect that child. You will murk motherfuckers. You will strangle somebody with your bare hands to defend that child. It's that kind of feeling. I don't want to have to do that, but I fucking will. And if there's something that I have to do, then I'm gonna do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to have to. It's that kind of feeling. When you get inspired by like digging into yourself and just keeping it a buck and being like, man, I gotta, in order for me to move forward, I literally have to do that, and I can't get around it.
Right.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and do this shit. Fuck it, here we go. This shit is not fun, but it is. You know what I mean? It's like, there ain't no feeling like it, man. And we so timid, we scared of a boogeyman when it comes to that shit. Oh no, man, like, no, you could never. Oh no, I'm tough. I'm a man. Like, man, shut that fuck shit up. You cry. You know what I'm saying? Uncontrollable anger is a sign of the very sad, depressed person, bro. Yeah. And I mean, and I'm not talking about your anger issue. I'm talking about that uncontrollable, like, I'll kill anybody. Yeah. Nigga, you are damaged. Like, you need mad God hugs. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, again, I'm glad we get to use our platform to just record our conversations on some shit. You know what I'm saying?
Helpful for us, both of us.
Oh man, I get dumb help from this shit. Like you were saying earlier, like when you say something to somebody else, don't you just feel so much better about it? Like, that's exactly the paradigm with this shit. Like, I feel better saying this shit. I get messages, I'm sure you do as well, people being like, yo man, this and this and that. I had people walk up to me at High Road Day, and it ain't been a real High Road Day in about since before the bullshit. Yeah. People walk up to me talking about the show, like, some people came up to me talking about like, yo man, I see you ain't been drinking for almost 2 years, man. I need some help with that shit. Like, just first time I seen a motherfucker in a few years, because motherfuckers ain't really been outside like that. And so man, all of this shit is good for me. To be able to be helped, to be able to contribute some kind of help, that's the most satisfying shit, bro.
Word.
It's for real.
Yeah. That's
word up.
Yeah, well said, man. And we gotta actually, hour went by fast. We gotta get ready to roll out of here. But
yes, sir.
So we want to thank everybody that was rocking with us for the comments and just being with us and sharing and stuff. And these are all on our YouTube channels. Episode 9, so this will be up. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. Next
Next
year,
next year, brother. Next
next
year, brother.
year. I missed you too. I missed both of y'all, man. When I saw that picture of you two, my heart like shattered. B, I was like, damn.
Oh,
Like, yeah.
my brother.
Nah,
My
so
brother.
next year it'll be even sweeter. So you know what I'm saying?
Yes. Yes, sir.
It sweetens. You know what I'm saying? It's been a minute, but I'm glad we did get to catch up earlier in June though. So that was dope. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that was dope. Yeah,
Fucking
that was dope to be out there on the East Coast, man.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Word up, word up,
fucking back in the hood, you know, back in my hood and back in
word up.
Massachusetts. So it was fun. But so yeah, everybody, thank you. And thank you, man. You know what I'm saying? It's always a pleasure. And each time we get to, you know, our friendship just becomes, you know, deeper, yo. Like you know, this is important shit, whether we have the camera on or not. And it just it's helpful for me. You know what I'm saying? I know that. So thanks, man.
My
You know.
my honor, my good brother. My honor.
So we each and every third Monday of every month. So we'll be back at it. Actually, October, yo, we gotta move the day a little bit just
Yeah,
based on
yeah,
some.
yeah. What you got going on?
Yeah,
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt, my brother. No, I got you. We'll talk it up. We'll talk
yeah.
it up.
But salute, we're still doing it, and we're gonna be at episode 10. So salute everybody. Have a good night. We'll get the clip of this up soon. I'll tag you and all that good stuff. So
Yes, sir.
all right,
Bless up, everybody. Talking crazy. A plus and tomorrow.
all right, y'all. Everybody be good. Salute.